Today we're going to talk about the two passing options for the ball carrier, trying to create space and or maintain key possession. First things first, you 15 boys. I'm an A licensed coach, and I also have my certification for CTL. CTL stands for Club Technical Lead, and DOC stands for Director of Coaching. So I have my Director of Coaching license as well. Um, done some work in the pro environment as a video performance analyst as well. And with the Knights, we also have MLS Next brackets, so I do the scouting there. I can open up my resume for you real quick. I'll include a link in this presentation and description. I to them for the last 8 years or 9 years now. So MLS Next ECNL pathway. I'm also a set piece position specialist and scouting and game analysis specialist through MVP School of Soccer, which is in Spain. And also mention my licensing here. It has the links to all my social media, and it also shows some work in the pro and the semi-pro environment there. Um, but enough about me. So today's topic, triangle passing to create space and maintain possession. Here we go. So three, you build up play and defending third, which is basically the moment here is attacking, the field area is defending third. So it's basically a build up play.
Doctors, nurses and engineers who have ever dreamed of living in Australia now have an opportunity if they have the qualifications and experience.
Why does it matter? Triangulation is fundamental in the game of soccer. You're trying to retain control, avoid turnovers, dictate the game tempo. So you're basically looking at your players to pass and move, try to relocate yourself immediately after you pass so you can actually create the angle of support. You want to instruct your players to minimize touches in the high pressure zones, pass, receive, so release it quickly. And obviously scanning is one of the player actions that you're looking for as well to constantly identify those options and threats and where the pressure is coming from. The importance of the triangles, obviously you're trying to break your opponent's structure to create overloads, progression of play, and dictate tempo. So this promotes fluidity and connectivity between players. You try to connect the players in the same line, try to connect players in different lines. So defenders, midfielders, your left back, your left center back, etc., in the same line. You want to offer multiple passing options to bypass the opponent's pressures. So ideally, you're looking at a bare minimum of at least two passing options, left and right. And in an ideal world, you actually have a perfect diamond or rhombus where you actually have a pass forward as well. So it encourages the movement off the ball to support the ball carrier, the passer. Once you master the triangulation in soccer, obviously a lot of benefits for teams as a coach and also as players. If you master the principle of triangulation, the numerical superiority in small spaces, rondos are a big thing. If you want to coach that, it can enable quick transitions from defense to attack as well, and reduce the risks of turnovers in high pressure areas. And if you do turn over the ball, then obviously there's people around the ball to quickly press. Pep Guardiola, that's one of Pep Guardiola's principles as well, where he tries to have as many players around the ball in possession, which means if you lose the ball, that there's also a lot of people around the ball to pressure the ball quickly. Player learning, benefits for players, obviously, it's essential for your skill development. It improves your technical abilities, where it's passing, receiving, and decision making, that split second. Spatial awareness, positioning, and obviously confidence in playing out of the back. If you're successful at practice, you can be successful in the game. Your defending third objectives, obviously, so what's a build-up play? You're trying to move the ball from defending third into midfield third in a safe, positive, and as fast as possible manner. So you need to move to create passing channels, open up your body to face forward. So ball receiving, player action is very important. Short, quick passes to maintain tempo, and you actually dictate the tempo. Why players learn? They get increased confidence when playing out of the back and playing out of tight situations, better understanding of spacing and supporting players on what your role is on the field, and the chemistry with teammates through consistent practice and rondos. Rondos are very exciting for players as well, especially when you're successful versus the player in the middle. Again, triangle passing, we mainly use it to create space and maintain possession. The players involved here from defending third is obviously the goalkeeper, your back four, and your midfield three. The role of your goalkeeper is obviously going to start up the build-up play. So you want to provide accurate passes to your center backs or fullbacks, maybe as a release option as well, support behind the ball. And communication is key here to uh, organize the back line. The role of the back four, defenders in those triangle passing. So obviously your center backs, you want to spread out wide to create space and passing options. Your fullbacks, you want to push them forward to connect with midfielders and focus on maintaining composure under pressure. Your midfield three mainly are used as link-up players. So you CDM, you want to position yourself to receive facing forward and switch to play if possible. Central attacking midfielders, you want to drop into those spaces and support the back line and obviously create those diagonal passing channels as well. We already mentioned the game moment, and these are your coaching points that you're actually looking for. You want to create space, you want to show them how to create space. So triangles to stretch out the opposition, wide players to expand the field. And you want to use your dummy runs to open up passing channels. So basically, the pass and move. If one player is going to move, the defenders or your opponent needs to move as well. So this is a good warm up. It's a 10 by 10 square. You can make it smaller if you want to, but it's basically a 3v1 rondo where you emphasize the angle play from supporting players. As a progression, you can go from 3v1 to a 4v2 rondo as a warm up, depending on how many players you have to balance it out. The main principle, obviously, you're looking to provide options to play forward, given the fact that we're going from defending third into midfield third. So you want to provide those vertical or diagonal passing options. That's the sub-principle. Triangulation is the player action that we're looking for. We position to provide the player on the ball with at least two forward passing options, diagonal or vertical, in different levels of height and width. And I included an example activity at the end of this presentation as well, so you get an idea what we're looking for. It's a small-sided one. Specific player actions in order to be successful in decision making and technical execution and perception. Obviously, scanning is a big thing. Your body shape, we mentioned that, especially for the CDNs and the fullbacks when you receive the ball facing up, and supporting players either verbally and physically as well. So you want to make sure that your fullbacks are high and wide, and your CDM is behind them between the lines. So you're trying to look to get out of sight of the defender's vision, so what we call, get on their blind side. So that's what we're trying to do. We're in defending half, build up play. We want to advance the ball at this time. Provide options to play forward, main principle. Sub principle, provide vertical or diagonal passing options, and all of these for the player actions on the ball. This is a friendly reminder for the physical periodization, given the fact that we do rondos 3v1. So you're basically looking at this one here with 4 players, 30 seconds of work. Since you have 4 players, so you're going to work for 30 seconds, they're going to rest for a minute or so. So you basically have a minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes of rotation. You do that 8 times, that's 60 minutes. You do that times 1 or 2. So that's basically your warm-up activity for 30 minutes, and then you can actually go into your main activity. The main activity, just here, the main activity, we're looking at a 4v2 situation. So in this case, if you look at the criteria that can influence the intensity and the dynamic of training, one team is outnumbering the other because we have a 4v2. One team can actually finish on the big goal. The other team can finish on 2 mini goals, or maybe it's line dribbling if you want to make it more physically intensive. But no restriction of play. It's a real game life situation where it's a 4v2. And let me just show you here. This is a tactical pad. I mentioned these as alternatives. You can do a 3v1 rondo to 4v2 progression. You can also just do a triangle passing pattern as a warm-up, or even a more extended rondo where you do 5v5 plus 2 neutrals. But in essence, this is what it looks like here, where It's a 4v2 situation with just rotation of players. So you want to provide those vertical and diagonal passing. You also might want to coach the players to avoid players in the same line. So you're really looking at two different options on the ball carrier. This is a triangle. This is a triangle. So always look at your primary players, obviously the ball carrier and supporting players, the two supporting players. You want to coach them in a game too. And ideally, we have a perfect rhombus or diamond as shown here. You can keep the intensity and the flow of practice by just rotating players. It's a 4v2. If you really want to make it more difficult, more complex, you can add a third player into the mix. But you see here, ball carrier as the player who their supporting player should be. They should be able to pass the ball left and right. The number 6 can also exploit the space behind their defender's pressure here. So that was a good moment. So number 8, look at here behind number 7, their blind side, and then we can go there. So I'll include the tactical pad at the end of this presentation. And I thank you all for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.
The invoice, I'll send that right now in QuickBooks. Just need to update my
So periodization is attacking and defending third. So basically build up plays. So today we're going to talk about one of the attacking principles, how to effectively switch the point of attack in soccer and more specifically in defending third. Before we get started, a little bit more about me. So obviously this is me. I coach 2 teams with Point Knights FC. We also have MLS Next bracket. So U13, U15 boys. I do MLS Next scouting. I'm an A licensed coach. I also have my certification in opponent analysis, video analysis, performance analysis, etc. Also did some freelance stuff and volunteer work for USL teams as well as Division 1, Division 2 teams in Europe. My resume is also here. Let me just open it. You can go over it on your own time. Like I said, head coach youth soccer, ECNL MLS Next. I'm a DOC technical director, club technical lead. I'm part of the European Association of Scouts as well. Set pieces, position specialist certification, Scouts. Go over it on your own time. It also has my playing career in there as well, and some accomplishments in youth soccer. So let's get started. Again, how to effectively switch the point of attack. POA in soccer is commonly referred to as switch POA for coaches out there. So why does it matter? Again, it's one of the attacking principles. So we have the ball, we have possession of the ball. So it's relevant at all levels of play. It obviously includes some critical tactical and technical skill to try and break down defenses and exploiting space and basically secure the ball and maintaining possession. What is switching a point of attack? The name itself kind of mentions it and says it. You're trying to move the ball quickly from one side to another, trying to disrupt and unbalance the opponent. To basically disrupt their defensive structure and try to create goal scoring opportunities if you try to switch the point of attack more in midfield third or attacking third. Again, switching point of attack is one of the attacking principles where we focus on the width, depth, penetration, mobility, and support. So those are the key attacking principles, sub-principles along the player actions with that. So position-specific player actions are needed for success. For instance, midfielders, you want to be the technical skill needed. You want to distribute. So you're looking at long diagonal passes, maybe the wingers. You're looking to maintain width and give us width for supporting on the ball to stretch out the defense. The fullbacks, right back, left back, obviously overlapping, underlapping runs in order to give that passing channel to the distributing or switching a point of attack player. And forwards, you want to try and occupy the defense for technique. The first touch, how are you going to set up yourself for success with your first touch? Are you taking your first touch with the intention of switching a point of attack? And obviously the vision and the vista, is very important for players as well. That's where the scanning comes into play of the field. So the more you scan the field, the more you know where your supporting players are, and more importantly, where the pressure is coming from the opponent. Um, Coaching, attacking principles. So obviously, I also included a session plan at the end of this presentation. So you're looking for tactical scenarios, game-like, reality-based scenarios where the switching your point of attack is effective. A couple of examples: you want to beat the high press. Maybe you want to exploit numbers up or numerical advantages on the weak side. So obviously, your training activities. Um, we have rondos, we have a half field, we have long pass with target zones. Again, I'll go into that. I include a couple at the end of this one. Challenges, obviously, we all work with the players that and the cards that we're dealt with. So the technical ability, the passing accuracy might be an issue. The physical ability, so the lack of movement and tactical awareness and understanding might be an issue with some players and age groups. As a coach, you try to provide them with solutions. So one of the common solutions are, as I mentioned before, scanning the field. What do you see? Know what's coming at you. Try to read, anticipate the play. The technical part of coaching and sessions is an ongoing thing every day. So you want to maintain and or improve your technical skills and more importantly, your repetitions. So your tactical game scenarios, you want to repeat those and rehearse those as much as possible. It could go from 2v1s to 3v2s to 4v3s to larger scale, half field, or even a full field. So once you master or improve or try to optimize your switching point of attack um, principle and game plan, part of your game plan, you can make your team more dynamic and more unpredictable in possession because you're no longer looking for those 7, 8 yard passes. You're also looking for those 25 or 35 yard long diagonal lofted or driven passes. So obviously the player experience, we're looking for players that are able to pass the ball. So more importantly, we're looking at making a long pass in the air. If you play the ball into space, you want to make sure that the teammate can receive the ball while running, so you keep the flow. So obviously you want to make that pass in front of your teammate, making sure that the teammate can take the ball without slowing down. And obviously depending on the distance or maybe the angle of support, you can play that ball with different surfaces of the foot. You can play with the inside, or maybe you're driven with the laces, etc. I mentioned this, so obviously the game moment is attacking. This could be your game idea as a coach, as part of my game model, as well as an A licensed coach. We're most specifically now, we're looking as a main principle, you're trying to break lines to advance attack. Don't forget, we're focusing on attacking in defending third, so players and your secondary players. So you're looking to break lines to advance attack, and more specifically, we're focusing on switching the play. So you pass the ball to the opponent's weak zone. So you want to set the trap, draw the pressure, invite the pressure from the opponent, and then choose your moments to actually switch the point of attack using the players behind the ball as a support. Or sometimes you can use the player in front of the ball for support as your six, and then they can quickly turn and switch the point of attack. Here's another one. Obviously, your say your right back or your right wing, your right flank side. Obviously, your left back is stretching the field because we're in possession. So obviously, you want to enable that switch of play. So the attacking team shape is very important that you actually have that passing channel. So you want to create enough space to create strong ball circulation, not only on your side where the pressure is, but obviously on the side where we don't really have any opponents pressuring, so you can actually break through the lines. I mentioned this, so you want to progress the ball forward and eliminate opponent. Again, that's a build-up play. I think definition is moving the ball safely in a positive and the fast manner possible from defending third into midfield, pass the ball to the opponent's weak zone. Definition, you draw the opponent to one side and you try to find space on the opposite side. How can you do that? You could direct change of point with a long pass. Again, a technical and the scanning comes into play. Or you can play a short pass and go short, short, long, perhaps with a little Y, or use your six to your under center back, etc. Scanning, I mentioned this. Obviously, your spatial and positional awareness is very, very important as a player. So now we're actually zooming into the player action needed. So the soccer skills needed to be successful and to execute a team tactical main or sub principle that we just mentioned, switching a point of attack, where the decision making comes into play, your technical execution comes into play, your physical ability comes into play, and obviously perception. So the scanning is there and your body shape. I mentioned this in one of the other videos where physical prioritization is important. So depending on what your setup is and how many players are on the field, you can use this as a guideline or framework to actually optimize your team for peak performances throughout the season and throughout the week or throughout your macro cycle of 3, 6, 9, or 12 weeks. So in this case, we're most likely looking at Monday, smaller numbers. So you're looking at maybe a 3v2 situation where we're going to try and switch the point of attack with the players in possession going to goal. So you're looking at 5 players. So your work duration would be anywhere between 1 to 2 minutes. You do 4 to 6 repetitions. So that brings you up to 10, 12 minutes. And then you do your 2 sets. So that's a 24-minute of work. And then your recovery duration in between sets is also 1 minute. So you're looking at 28 minutes or so per repetition. That's a 3v2. Then you can do your progression. Perhaps you can progress it to 4v3. Then you do the same thing all over again, and you see nothing much really changes here. So you can do another 30 minutes of that. Same thing, 1 to 2 minutes of work, 4 to 6 reps. Your sets is 1 to 2 to 3 reps maybe, and then you can do that. So that's basically your 60 to 70 minute of work and repetitions on focusing on switching a point of attack with your coaching points as a coach. And then the last 30 minutes, you can just have them play. So that's basically a smaller number kind of session that I just mentioned. This is also a friendly reminder. Don't forget as a coach that you also have certain things that you can do in order to increase the physical load or increase the trigger or cognitive load for your players. You can do many things, but obviously the number of goals, the size of goals, the amount of scoring goals is the one that it's a go-to for coaches. Your organization, you can make the field smaller, bigger, larger. You can cut off certain spaces. But this is the one that we're looking at right now, where obviously the both teams do not have the same number of players because you want to give the players in possession a little bit of advantage to be successful. So I'm most likely going to do, after my ball warm-up, I'm most likely going to start with a 3v2 situation and 4v4. But that will take me basically to my 80, 90-minute session, and I don't really have to play a scrimmage or a game at the end. I promised you guys the session, so here's a session. I have the Instagram link as well. Tell the white team attack and go from line dribbling to use mini goals. And this is also a 4v3 situation. And then a 3v2 in order to get attack and go from focusing on defending third that these players don't have the need to understand attack defending third and go from focusing on defending third that players don't understand execution of it. So I also want to be tactical passion here that these players don't have the tactical passion here that players don't have tactical passion here. Point of attack upon receiving the ball, so you can do that for players. Try to give them an extra incentive there. But that's it. Please follow me on Instagram at the Scouting Corner, and then on YouTube, obviously, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I thank you all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. I have a half field tomorrow, so I'll probably gonna go into the larger one that.
GoDaddy has the domain to make it happen. You're a search away, so go ahead.
Hello and welcome to our Tuesday night session. So periodization, we're in attacking principles. We're coaching, switching the point of attack, commonly referred to as switch POA, point of attack. And more specifically, this week we're focusing on attacking in defending third. So basically a build-up play from the goalkeeper involving the goalkeeper. And hopefully we can use that goalkeeper as a supporting player to switch the point of attack. Again, my name is Coach Kevin. I'm with the Boynton Knights FC. We also have an MLS next bracket. So I coach U13, U15 boys. Obviously, I do the MLS next scouting. I also did some opponent analysis and video analysis and scouting for more professional teams in the pro environment as well. I'm an A licensed coach, UEFA and US Soccer. I also have my um, Director of Coaching and Club Technical Lead license. I'm part of the European Association of Scouts. I have my certification for set pieces and position specialist and the scouting and game analysis. My resume is on the link below and description below. And it's also part of this presentation. So a little bit about me. It's all here. Obviously, as a director of coaching or technical lead or club technical lead, you're responsible to develop a club-wide methodology, periodization, etc., game model, and more of that nature. Feel free to go over my resume to see who's in front of you and who's talking to you. So let's get to it. So how to effectively build up in defending third from the goalkeeper using the principle of switching the point of attack. So first things first, what's switching the point of attack? Commonly used to bypass the press from the opponent. It's a modern tactical and technical skill required for success. So you want to start the attacks from the goalkeeper and use that switching to exploit space and create numerical superiority on the right or the left flank or inner channels. It adds a level of unpredictability to your team as well. You're stretching the opponent's pressing structures so you can actually find space on the weaker side. Obviously, width and depth and penetration are very important. Your fullbacks, your wingers provide those options on the flanks. Your midfielders drop or go a little bit higher, advanced, deep to connect. Obviously, players close to the ball create passing channels from center backs to the goalkeeper to your sixes, whether you play with a double or a single pivot six, it doesn't matter. So this week or this session, focusing on the role of the goalkeeper. Obviously, people refer to it as a sweeper keeper, basically a goalkeeper supporting field player. They're a field player in possession. They're supporting you verbally, physically. They're an extra player on the field. Obviously, some technical skill is involved there as well to connect those passes, long passes, driven, lofted passes, or short passes to six, so you can actually create that outlet to the right back or left back, wing backs. So positioning is important from the goalkeeper for the build-up. Obviously, you want to create angle of support as a goalkeeper, so it's a mindset for some goalkeepers that they are part of a build-up play. And obviously the technical execution of it that I already mentioned. As a coach, you're looking to mimic a realistic game-like tactical game scenarios. So basically here you try to have the opponent play or the non-focused team play a high press. You want to focus on your focus team, meaning your back line and your sixes and your goalkeeper to exploit numerical advantages on the weak side, trying to use your fullbacks. Example training sessions for this, you can do a 6v4 build-up game like I include at the end of this presentation. Obviously, player specific more, player position specific. As a goalkeeper, you can have distribution drills, throw, pass, long pass, short pass, even punting, the South American style volley. Or you can do positional roundos as well as a goalkeeper, where you can actually focus more on the body shape and the distance and the angle and the speed of execution and support. Common challenges, obviously, technical skill. If the passing is not there or the technical aspect of passing is not there, you have to spend time as a coach on that. the decision making. Do they keep going back to the same side, or are they scanning the field? Do they know where the space is on the other side? Speed of execution. How long do they take to switch the point of attack? Is it two touches? But your two touches, there's a difference between two touches like receive pass and receive pass. It's a big difference, but it's the same two touches. Common solutions, obviously scanning the field, improving those technical skills, and repetition, repetition, repetition. Once you master the switching the point of attack, it becomes a powerful tool, and like I said, it could add that unpredictability in possession as well. Player experience, key actions that we're looking for, obviously making a long pass in the air, looking at the player before you're passing to the player, so there's a non-verbal connection that they know that the ball is coming. Scanning the field obviously is important too. You want to play the ball in front of the player so you don't lose time and they don't have to control the ball. The main principle that we're looking for here to coach in the attacking game moment is that you want to break lines to advance the attack. You want to find a free player between or behind the lines. You want to switch the play. You want to pass the ball to the opponent's weak zone. Sometimes you need to drive with the ball to exploit space and then pass the ball. But that's one of the main principles. Another main principle that we're coaching here is all the players need to create the attacking team shape. You want to position yourself so you can stretch the opponent and create space for yourself and for your team, so you can actually enable the switch of play. I'm looking at center backs, fullbacks, your sixes. Also position yourself behind the ball in a supporting position as a goalkeeper. And you want to create enough space to create that ball circulation, actually play the long ball to your fullback. Yeah, I mentioned the long pass, short pass, and this is the main principle again, where we try to progress the ball forward and eliminate opponents' line of pressure. So the key points before we get into the activities here. Building from a defending third with switches maximizes space and control. The goalkeeper plays a pivotal role in initiating and facilitating the switch. They can be verbally coaching the players in front of him as well. And your success relies on proper positioning from the goalkeeper, your quick decision making. Do you feel confident to make that switch? And in your passing, which is basically your technical execution. Scanning, I mentioned scanning. That's important as a specific player action to execute that team tactical principle. This is my game model. It's part of my game model on how I would like my team to build up against a 4-3-3 with one forward pressing. So let me just open this up real quick. Let's see if it plays. So one forward pressing, you have your goalkeeper, you have your center backs. You can easily penetrate if you do it right. So the timing is there. This is another example where seems like we're using one of our midfielders to the goalkeeper as well. You can circle or rotate the ball left and right. So that's basically just another example against one forward. This is another 4-3-3 example where, let me just let it play. Right, the goalkeeper is still involved. The right center back penetrates, and you try to play around the pressure. You can also play through pressure with a link-up player, or you can actually use your sixth as a pivot to actually switch the point of attack. You can also reset to the goalkeeper to switch the point of attack, or use your sixes. This is a good drill that you can implement. I kept quiet there because there was some music. So that's also one that I'm doing tonight, where we go from a 3v2 situation, numbers up, where you encourage them to switch the point of attack to a 4v3 situation here, including the goalkeeper. This is a build-up play if you have a half field space. Similar to what we just saw play against two forwards. where obviously your goalkeeper gets more and more involved, where it's your goalkeeper who's going to penetrate and take space, depending on where the two center forwards are going to press. If the two center forwards are pressing your two center backs, then obviously the goalkeeper becomes like a sort of sweeper keeper and distribute the play. The way that I measure success as a coach, as an A licensed coach, I want to see if we have controlled possession and penetration from defending third into midfield third. So I want to go from this area to the midfield third area, and that's how I measure success. Obviously, depending on what league, what teams, what level you're playing. I try to aim for over 75% successful entries. And then I try to do my longitudinal analysis from game 1, game 2, game 3, where this is the beginning of the season, middle of the season, at the end of the season. And I try to see that our average per game actually increases and goes up. So this is another visual. There's also an Instagram post that I made. I'll just let it play. You can see the goalkeeper being involved here. Once you do that, that's your half field space. You can zoom in. This is a very simple one because it's basically a 4v2 if you include the goalkeeper. That's why I add the line dribbling, so it takes a little bit more effort physically. You can add the mini goals where it's a little bit more complex. You go from simple to more advanced complex, where it's a 4v3, and then you can actually do a 3v2, so everybody gets involved, as well as your midfielders and your attackers, with a mandatory switch of the point of attack. I drew the dotted line there, so you're trying to see if they can actually switch the point of attack quickly, in order to exploit that numerical advantage there. Friendly reminder here for your physical periodization. This is basically used and proven science in order to get your team ready, match ready, game fit. For your physical periodization, you have your work, recovery, repetitions, and sets. So given if you play 3v2, 4v3, you're basically looking at anywhere between 1 to 2 minutes of work, 1 minute approximately of recovery, so 4 minutes. So 3 minutes there. You do 4 to 6 reps. That's 12 to 15 minutes. You do 1 to 3 sets. So you're looking at a good 40, 45 minutes plus your recovery intervals. So you're basically looking at, for your whole session, you're well over 60 minutes. And then you can just play a game with your team in order to finish it. As a coach, these are the criteria that you can use that influence the intensity and the training session dynamics, as well as the physical load and the cognitive load. You can do unrestricted, you can do restricted, like mandatory point of attack would be an instruction that we give them with specific objective and goal in mind. In this case, the players are outnumbering the opponent, so you give the focus team advantage with numbers up, so they're actually successful. Once you see they're actually successful enough, you can actually make it even numbers for that. But that's basically it. I'm just going to give you guys real life examples right now of a goalkeeper. This is Colin Kozemans. He is the starting goalkeeper for Anderlecht in Belgium. So this is him. He's really a sweeper keeper, and he's really good at being involved in build-up plays. I don't know if you guys saw that. So, but I'll try to include it into this. But I thank you all for watching. I'll be back in the next couple of days with more. Thank you.
most people still think you need to have an online business to be able to do this. So it's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'm here working from my laptop. I'm here in the city of Asunción, Paraguay. I just arrived here a few days ago.